Hey everybody, Parallel here, and welcome back to Star Trek Online. So let's say you just created your Jem'Hadar character in the new Victory is Life expansion in Star Trek Online, and let's say you've completed the introductory mission, and you've selected your faction. In my case, I went with the KDF, and you've now been dumped onto Deep Space Nine, and you are now ready to start your leveling process from 60 to 65, which is the new level cap in the expansion. And now what? So how do you start preparing for the end game? What do you do to build up your character, your fresh Jem'Hadar, from the sort of starter build that you're given in the tutorial mission, and how do you build that out to actually get ready for the end game and get up to level 65? Well, that is what I'm going to try to explain in this video. So I just did a video with the sort of a let's play of the initial mission of the Jem'Hadar, and at this point I was starting to decide on what build I wanted to go forward with on this character, you know, what kind of build I wanted to have as my long-term goal, and then, you know, what do I need to do in order to get there? How do I plan out how I'm going to acquire all the gear that I need, the starship traits, and everything to put that together and to get to that end game point. So as I was doing this, I figured, you know, I was just planning to do this like off screen, and then I was just going to continue on with the next episode Let's Play in the next video, but I figured, well, if I'm going to be going through this whole process on my character, I might as well record it, make a video about it, and maybe some people will find it useful. So that is what this video is going to be about. So basically taking your fresh Jem'Hadar character and, you know, what do you need to do to build this character up and to make a viable end game build that will hopefully work for you. So the first thing I would say that you need to do is you need to set some goals of, you know, what your overall plan is, right? You have to set a goal of, first, you know, what kind of build are you going to want to run when you get to max level? What weapon system are you going to focus on? What damage type are you going to work on? And so on and so forth. So you want to have that in your head as you're going forward. So the nice thing about Star Trek Online is that there are quite a few different builds you can go for in the endgame that are viable. Most of the builds that people go for are mostly for DPS, but you need to have some survivability as well if you're going to be running in pickup groups. Some of the builds that I've experienced with include things like, you know, you could do it with a beam array build with fire at will. It's still a viable build. You've got, you know, kinetic torp builds, so you can go with like a full torpedo boat. That's a little more tricky to build, but I'm not quite as experienced with that. You can also go with like an exotic-based science damage build or a psi torp build. Those are also viable. Again, a totally different path. Or you can go with like a cannon build in this, and you could go with either like a Cannon Scatter Volley or rapid fire build as your sort of overall target. So those are the kind of main ones I'm thinking of as far as endgame builds. There are of course other ones out there that you can go for. You know, there are people who do aggro tanking. There are people who like to do drain builds. There are actually some pretty interesting drain builds out there. And of course there are even some healing builds out there. There are a lot of different options. But like I said, since I'll be mostly doing pickup groups and that type of content, I'm going to go with sort of a DPS focused build. In this case, for this video, I'm going to be focusing on Cannon Scatter Volley build. So I'll be going with the Cannon weapon system and Cannon Scatter Volley. And that's so, you know, that's how I'll be gearing out my character and that's kind of my target that I'll be working towards. So yeah, so that's my kind of target. That's where I'm be focusing for this video. So if you're interested, I will be kind of showing how the sausage is made here, as it were. I'm going to be going through and putting together this build piece by piece and going through claiming all the ships that I need to get the traits, all the gear that I have access to, and everything else. Just be aware that, you know, I've been playing this game for a long time, over 4 years now. You can see even I've been creating videos for over 2 years now. So I do have access to a lot of items that I can claim through various methods that you may not have access to these items. I'll try to explain where you can get them as I'm going through, but The idea is that I'm actually going to go through and reclaim all the items specifically that I need for this build, okay? You can watch how I'm doing that, and you can kind of see what gear that I'm using, and then you can, if you want to have a similar build, you could say, okay, these are the items I need to work towards, and this will give me all the traits and gear and specializations that I need in order to make the build. Now, one other thing to keep in mind, I'm actually going to go over here to the bank, but one thing you need to keep in mind is that all of your builds, no matter what build you're going to be going for, you need to have a method for cooldown reduction. Almost every build needs some kind of a cooldown reduction method, because you want to get all of you want to have as maximum uptime in all of your bridge officer abilities, right? So you need to have a cool way to cool those down faster, at least to get them down to hopefully the global cooldown. And there are several methods to do that as well. So one popular one is, of course, aux to Batt, or auxiliary to battery, which is an engineering ability. And if you use that in conjunction with technician duty officers, you can get very, very significant bridge officer cooldown. It's actually become quite popular, aux to Batt, since the recent, well, not that recent, but since season 13, aux to Batt kind of came back into prominence as other methods of cooldown reduction were kind of nerfed, like attrition warfare. So that's one method, and that is in fact the method I will also be targeting for this build. It's one of the easier, more accessible methods, so that's why it's good for kind of a starting character. It's something you can get going quickly. And even now there are some starship traits that synergize well with aux to Batt now, including Cold-Hearted, which I will also show you where to get that. And that trait, so that's another reason why aux to Batt is becoming more popular. There are other builds, though, out there for cooldown reduction. There are Drake builds. I used to run Drake build quite a bit. Those only cool down certain abilities, not all bridge officer abilities, but it's still very useful because it synergizes with a lot of traits, and it allows you to keep a high auxiliary power, unlike aux to Batt, which always you have a low auxiliary power. There are other ways to do it. A lot of the most popular way for exotic or science damage builds now is peak efficiency, which is a starship trait. So if you're going for that, you're going to have to start saving up for a Vomf dreadnought, because that's the starship trait from that ship. So those are, you have to kind of think of the method of how you want to cool down your abilities. There are other ways. Some people do still use attrition warfare, even though it's not as effective. You'll need other methods of doing it. Maybe you just want to stack up tons of readiness in each of your abilities in each of the areas. So there are half Batt builds where you only use one aux to Batt, but those are pretty hard to build for. You need a lot of engineering readiness to get those to work. All right, so that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm going to be going for a Cannon Scatter Volley build with aux to Batt for my cooldown reduction. Now, like I said, I'm going to kind of show how the sausage is made, so kind of forgive me. Like, I was kind of not really planning to do this video, so I may need to pause at some points to kind of remember where things are. I might need to look something up to remember exactly what ship or what episode to get it from. But otherwise, I will try to keep things moving along. So let's get started. So let's say you just got dumped onto Deep Space Nine, you're level 60 Jem'Hadar, just like I am, and you want to get a decent build going on your ship. This is the default build that we started with. So first thing, if you're going to be putting together a build for Cannon Scatter Volley, is you're going to need some cannons. And so in this case, like I said, I have access already to quite a few resources from all of my other characters that I've been playing for such a long time. In this case, I sent over some cannons from my other characters. I already have a leftover anti-proton heavy cannon set. I also have some old dual cannons for Coalition. Coalition disruptors have kind of fallen out of favor with the nerf to proc rates on things, so also another fallout of Season 13. So I have this set of Coalition disruptor dual cannons, and I have matching turrets to go with them. So I was kind of debating which one to go for, and I think for this build I am going to stick with anti-proton initially. Anti-proton's not necessarily the best energy type out there. Well, here's the thing. All the energy types are pretty well balanced now, since proc rates are so low. The actual proc on the weapons don't matter as much anymore. It's more about the mods. So you can make any damage type work. In the end game, there are certain damage types that have more console sets that synergize with them. And I'm thinking disruptors right now is kind of the the top end, because there's so many consoles that synergize with disruptors. Great console set bonuses. Phasers are also very good. There's a lot of good set bonuses for phasers. In this case, I'm going to go with anti-proton just because I don't have any of those console sets yet, and I have this anti-proton sitting around, and I can make use of it here. And in fact, believe it or not, there are actually some decent anti-proton consoles out there that are available either cheaply off of the exchange, or I have a couple that I have available because of account reclaims, like this one right here, the Universal Voth Phase Decoy that gives 20% anti-proton damage. So I have a couple consoles like the Polymorphic Probe Array. This is one that does anti-proton damage that you can get off the exchange that for pretty cheap, like a couple, 4 million, maybe 4 or 5 million. So that's why I'm thinking anti-proton is good for starting out. Also, if you have been opening Phoenix boxes, you can get the Crystalline Energy Torpedo, which is anti-proton. So I'm just thinking anti-proton will be a good starting damage type. Plus, I also have anti-proton consoles to go with it. So this is a good start. So I'm going to go ahead and let's start slotting up some anti-proton cannons. Now I'm actually even have the Herald anti-proton dual heavy cannon. This cannon is kind of nice. You can only run one of them, but it gives you a buff to your energy weapon. It has a chance to proc energy weapon buff to all of your weapons. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that on there as well. Okay. Now for the space set, like I said, you might want to have an idea for long-term what you're going for. They do start you out with the Jem'Hadar space set, and like I said, just fresh out of the tutorial mission, you're not really going to have access to anything else. There are some good sets you can go for, like the Quantum Phase set you can get from just doing episodes. You can start working. Usually these sets you get from reputations, so you have to start grinding out your reputations to be able to get the space set that you want. In particular, right now, the what am I thinking here? I still, the Iconian set is still pretty decent. I do run that on some builds, although it's kind of fallen out of favor. But if you just want to grind Iconian marks, you can just go for the Iconian space set. Although the more popular builds now is you're going to want the Colony Deflector from the Draenor colony, so you have to grind some fleet marks for that and join a fleet. For the Impulse Engine, you're going to want the Competitive Reputation Impulse Engine. So you go to your down here to the competitive rep, go down here, and you're going to see the well, you can't see it here because I haven't grinded competitive on this character, but you can get the Impulse Engine from that set, and it's very, very nice because it gives you a nice little turn, a proc that will give you a very high sort of turn rate buff, sort of like an evasive maneuvers every now and then that you can use, which is very nice, especially for slower turning ships. And then for these. For Warp Core, the Fleet Warp Core is very good. The Elite Fleet Plasma Integrated Warp Core that you get from the Spire is the main one that people go for. And then for shields, you can put like the competitive on here maybe to get the 2-piece bonus or whatever shield you want. The Iconian shield is actually a really good shield. But for now, like I said, you could just stick with the Jem'Hadar space set. Space set's not too critical for DPS. So you can still be in pretty decent shape even with a lower, a lower mark level space set. Although it will hurt your survivability a fair amount because of your low level shield. So to put in the aft here, I do have some turrets, so I'll go ahead and put some anti-proton turrets back here. The out-of-the-box build that Cryptic gave is not horrible. I mean, you can just use the out-of-the-box build while you're working towards the items that I'm showing you here. I would say you're probably going to want to take out the beams. Like, they give you cannons and beams. What I would say is get rid of those beams and put in some actual some actual cannons. It's not necessarily good to mix those two different weapon systems because you're going to need all those bridge officer slots in order to support weapon powers that work for for beams and then ones that work for cannons. So you're going to waste a lot of bridge officer slots doing that. Okay, so experimental weapon. I don't have. I'm trying to think of where I could get a decent experimental weapon, and where can I get a good experimental weapon? Now, I think the Bajoran event ship had an experimental weapon. Am I wrong about that? So if I go to... Yeah, so like I said in this video, I will be having to reclaim a lot of items in order to get, you know, the things that I want to make the build work. So for this one, I'm thinking that I'll have to go to the reclaim account reclaim store and get the Bajoran interceptor. Yep, let's head over to the shipyard. Now, the reason why I'd like to replace the default experimental weapon is honestly pretty bad. It did get buffed slightly to not be as terrible. It used to be so bad when it was released that it wasn't even worth the 10 weapon power that it took to fire it. It was actually a DPS loss to have this weapon slotted. I think it was buffed a bit, so it's actually usable now, but it's still not very good. So you will want to replace it with a better experimental weapon as soon as you can. So yeah, let's go. They did fix this console. If anyone watched my previous video, Cryptic did fix the shipyard console, so now everyone can use it instead of being locked out if one person uses it. Yep, so here is the voice of the prophets. Oh yeah, that's right. And there's a really good console on this that I almost forgot about, which is the Domino. So I'm going to go ahead and yank these off of the Jem'Hadar the Bajoran interceptor. And I will start putting together my build here. So I'm going to go ahead and replace... Oh, it only comes at Mark 10? Oh, I think it is a free upgrade to Mark 12, yes. Free upgrade, and then, yeah, then you stop at Mark 12. Okay. Let's go ahead and put that in there. I'm just going to put the old items down here so I don't get messed up. Now, as far as devices go, for one device, I'm going to want to get the red matter capacitor. So if you want to get the red matter capacitor, you can invest in the Phoenix boxes. And if you get the Phoenix boxes, you get these tokens out of them, and they allow you to buy things from the Phoenix store. So there are quite a few items in here I probably will go through and claim to help with this build. And I will definitely be getting the red matter capacitor, which is a very rare. So you need one of the very rare tokens for that. I'm also going to be getting the crystalline spike, which is an okay kit module that will help me get through some ground missions. I will also be going for the crystalline energy torpedo launcher, as I mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, this is not free upgrades, if I'm not mistaken. It is not. So, yeah, I'm not sure how good it'll be using that. It comes at Mark 13, so there you go. I'll have to debate whether I want to invest in upgrading that or not, or just use it as it is. There are a couple other things here on the rare level. This crystalline absorption matrix is another little console. It's a universal console that gives you some energy damage resistance and an anti-proton damage buff. Since I'm an anti-proton build, this will be good. Like I was saying, there are a lot of little consoles like this that buff anti-proton. So if you're just like a fresh build out of the box, anti-proton is pretty decent because you just want to get as many universal consoles as you can to buff that out. And this one actually increases your survivability too. It's actually a decent resistance buff to your ship. So it's a decent clicky, and it helps your damage output. And it's certainly better than all these garbage consoles that they give you to start with. So, so there we go. The Tanius, this is an Admiralty card. I'm definitely going to want this. Definitely going to want these duty officers. Emergency Con hologram is a great duty officer. When you use him, when you use, is it emergency powered engines? Yes, when you use emergency powered engines, it will refresh it will reset the cooldown on your evasive maneuvers. So very handy bridge officer there. And I'll just go get these other ones, just because rare tokens are not that hard to get out of the Phoenix box, so you should have plenty of them if you've invested in it. And why not get some purple duty officers onto your roster? Even if you just do them to use missions, it's still helpful. Anything else I want to pick up in the store here while I'm here? Yeah, I'm not going to get any ultra rare. Someone in the comments did notice that the bug ship, the one that you get as the default from the Jem'Hadar tutorial mission, the one they start you with, this does not unlock the bug ship frigate pets for your carrier. So just keep that in mind. You actually will have to get the Jem'Hadar attack ship. If you get the one here from the Phoenix box, that will unlock those frigate pets for you. So keep that in mind if you do want it. Okay, so then we got that. So we went through and got what we wanted from the Phoenix box store. So let's start getting rid of these consoles here, because we're going to want to replace these and make it synergize a bit more. That EPS console might be nice. We might slot that back in if I can't fill out the rest of these. And it was actually nice of Cryptic to give you some Polaron Mark 12 tactical consoles there. Those are actually pretty decently valuable. If you had to buy those off the exchange, they would be quite expensive. Let's go and put these over here. I'm just going to discard this crappy weapon. All right. So, like I said, I did want to get the red matter capacitor, so let's get that in here. And well, I'll keep the weapons battery in there. I'd rather have that than the engine battery. Okay. So we want to put some consoles in here, and like I said, since we're going for an anti-proton as kind of a starter build, just something to get us going to, you know, start grinding our queues and completing episodes, just to get us to the point where we can farm things, you know, reasonably efficiently and get towards the end game build. So what I'm going to be doing, like I said, I'm going to put the polymorphic probe array in here for the nice little clicky, and it does give some control expertise. We're also going to throw in the Voth phase decoy. Now, I didn't show this yet, but I did go in here into my account dilithium store reclaim. Here's where you can get the crappy experimental weapon back if you destroyed it. But I went through and I did pick up the Mirror Universe phase. I picked up all of these since they're unlocked for in my reclaim and they're free. But yeah, so I had access to all of these. And I'm trying to remember where I even got the Voth phase decoy. Let me look at that up here. Because that console... Oh, okay, this was from a breach event. Ah. Yeah, okay, now that makes sense. That was, oh, right, that was the one, it wasn't even that long ago, it was in March. I already forgot about it. That was the recent breach event. You know, again, not a great console. This is not like an endgame build I'm going for here. Like I said, this is the build that you're going to use to get you to the endgame, right? This is, you're just putting something together that's going to do, going to be a lot better than the default build. And so this phase decoy will be nice because it'll give us some anti-proton damage, it'll give us some hull capacity, and a little clicky as well. I don't think I've ever used that clicky, so... I did get this Hyper Impulse engines. I'm not sure if they're decent. I'll probably just stick with the Jem'Hadar set because the Jem'Hadar set's not bad, and they give you a complete set. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they said it was re-engineerable now. So this really, you could probably make this into a really decent set. You might just stick with this all the way until endgame when you start grinding out a reputation set that you want. Yeah, where's the set bonuses? Okay, so set bonuses, you've got Polaron damage. Oh, it's a Polaron damage. Ha! So I probably, and then Drain expertise. And then you get anti-proton sweep, which is sort of a shields up on, so it drains their shields and gives you shield resistance and disables cloaking systems, and it scales with drain. Probably decent for a drain build. Victory is life. 1% chance to strip one buff while using Polaron weaponry. That's kind of interesting. Okay. I wonder if that's like a something special for this expansion that they added on there. I wonder why it says victory is life. Or is that, maybe that's just something that I have? Is that like a passive? Oh, is this it? No. Oh, that's my Gamma recruit. Oh yeah, that's right. Something I didn't mention, but if you do create your character, your Jem'Hadar character before July 18th, you become a Gamma recruit and you get this little buff during the event. It's kind of cool. It gives you some salvage as you kill things. Kind of cool. Actually pretty nice because salvage is character bound and you will want some salvage to help you to re-engineer your gear. We'll get the traits here in a minute, but here we go. So we're going to go ahead and throw in that Voth phase console. So we've kind of gone through the dilithium store. I'm trying to think, is there anything else in the dilithium store we want to look at here? Account starship traits. So you can see I do have a lot of starship traits that I can reclaim here. Yeah. How am I going to do this? Yeah, let's go ahead. Yeah, the account reclaim for starship traits works where if you have starship traits unlocked on the other faction, so like since I'm a KDF on this Jem'Hadar, all my Federation ships that have these traits unlock them on the opposite faction because the faction never had access to those traits. Anything else here? Reclaim. Hangar pets, I don't really have anything there that I need. I'm not going to be running a carrier just yet. And the default carrier pets for the Jem'Hadar ships are not bad. Okay, so I think we got everything out of there. I'm just going to go ahead and open all of these just to get them into just so I have some starship traits to start working with here. Okay, what else can we get here? So I did claim this crystalline entity console. Yeah, that is a ground kit module. We'll work with that later. Now, so I'm kind of debating whether to put a crystalline energy torpedo. For now, I'm probably not going to slot this because there's a particular starship trait called supercharged weapons where it'll buff your energy weapons whenever you fire a torpedo. And since this crystalline energy torpedo is a energy torpedo, it's buffed by energy damage, so it would fit well into the build. It just, without that starship trait, supercharged weaponry, I'm not sure if it's worth it yet. It's probably just better to stick with all cannons. Any other, so I can put the Domino in here. This is the one off the Bajoran Interceptor. Even though it buffs phaser damage, it's not going to help, but it does give a nice accuracy boost, and the clicky is very, very good. Nice firing cycle haste and all kinds of damage bonus. What else do we want to do here? Tactical consoles, I do have, I mean, for now, until you get the Spire tactical consoles, which you need to grind a lot of fleet credits to get those, you're just going to want your standard tactical consoles for the energy type you're going for. So in this case, anti-protons. You know, if you're going for a disruptor, you'll want the disruptor consoles. So I still got a few more consoles to fill out here. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put there just yet. Yeah, what other consoles do I even have access to at this point? Well, I know one thing I'll have access to, which is the Plasmonic Leech. Again, it kind of has fallen out of favor. It was still a decent console, though, and certainly at this level of characters, since I'm not anywhere near my endgame build, having, I think it's the Vandal? Is that where you get it? Yep, so I believe this is it, the Tier 3 Vandal, the Plasmatic Leech, yep. If you are a KDF aligned character, you can get the Plasmatic Leech off this ship right here, the Tier 3 Vandal. If you are on, there's the Plasmatic Leech right there. If you are on the Federation, you can get it in exchange. Just get the Plasmatic Leech box and you'll be able to unlock it on your character. Fortunately, it is actually quite affordable nowadays. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get the Plasmatic Leech anymore. So it's very affordable. You can get your hands on that. What else? I don't have access to much, and I'm trying to think of what other consoles are universal. There are those new Cardassian consoles from the Tier 6 Cardassian ships that were released as part of Victory is Life. I'm thinking these, most of the other consoles though are specific to those ships. I think I checked earlier and you can't get the Vanguard consoles to work on the regular Jem'Hadar Bug Ship that you're given because it doesn't count as a Vanguard. I can double check that real quick. Yep. So you can't do that. But the Cardassian ones, so I'm going to go ahead and let's do that for now, just for fun. Because I believe the Cardassian two-piece was actually pretty good. Let's go to ships, Tier 6. Let's claim this. Let's claim all three. Okay, and in this case, we've got the Spiral Disruptor Blast. Oh yeah, these give some readiness. Engineering readiness will be... I don't know, I might not need readiness once I get my Aux to Batt going, because it's not the hugest bonus in the world. Actually, let me think. There's some consoles that I might be able to get from the weekend event store, but let's go ahead and just take these off here. Two-piece is really good, though, if I'm not mistaken. The two-piece is... that's firing cycle haste and power cost reduction, so that might still be worth it. So for me, I'm probably... these two are the platforms, and this one is the blast. I'm not sure which would be better in the long run. I do know for now the engineering readiness and the tactical readiness would probably be more useful. I'm not going to be running many science abilities, so let's go with this for now. Okay, so we got the build started here, alright? One thing I did want to check, like I said, is the weekend event store. So let's go back to our character sheet here. If we go to... sorry, reputations. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's go to the weekend event store. So, of course, the weekend event store, you get these, you can unlock all of these items by participating in the weekend event. Once you've purchased these once, they become 0 cost, and then you can claim them on other characters on your account, which is very cool. So you can get nice things like this, the Sompac Blast Assault weapon, which is actually not that great. But you can get your... prolonged engagement weapons. We do have the prolonged engagement weapons. We do have the Sompac Lightning module. But I'm not going for a phaser build. What was this one? Hull restoration and hull cap. Again, this could be good if you're going for just want some healing on your, you know, a healing console to help your survivability. Oh, I know what console I'm missing. The Lucari Science Vessel has a very good survivability console, and also the, if I wanted to get that, also the, what was it, the Samsar has a very good one as well. Samsar. Breen. Frangi, Vorgon, Kobali, there you are. The Samsar. Let's go ahead and get the Samsar. I mean, I'm probably going to eventually want to claim all of these just to have the Admiralty cards. Oh, that's right. You get the Cobali Warp Core as well with this, right? Because each time you claim a ship, you're going to get the Admiralty card for it. So yeah, I'm going to have to start claiming all my ships anyway just to get all the Admiralty cards. That Tanius Admiralty card is awesome. When this ship is alone, you get plus 50 to all stats. So you get like almost 90 in all three stats when you're alone. It's a very nice Admiralty card. Okay, so what else? What else? Let's go ahead and pull that console off. The Samsar. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, when I had that open I should have also gotten the Lucari Hokun Science Vessel. Let's get this one as well. So I'm claiming these ships because I actually participated in these events, so they're in the reclaim box. If you don't have these ships, these event ships, they are a little bit difficult to get. You have to get them from the Phoenix boxes, right? And you actually have to get an epic Phoenix token, and then you'll see them in here. I have opened well over 1,000 Phoenix boxes, and I've gotten exactly one epic token. So these are very rare. Cryptic really needs to buff the drop rate on these so people can get access to these ships, because things like the Samsar and like the Lucari science ship, they have really great consoles, so they really should be available to all players. But this one, so this is the Cobali one, the Protomatter. Yeah, what is it called? Protomatter Field Projector. Very good heal, AoE heal. It gives you a massive shield and hull regen for like 20 seconds or so it's really good. This console, the Regenerative Integrity Field, is also pretty good. It gives you a massive heal based on outgoing damage. It was actually nerfed a while back, but it's still pretty good. Although I tend to prefer the Lucari over it now. That being the case, I might... Yeah, well, let's stick with this for now. I probably should swap one of these out for probably the Voth Phase Decoy. I'd probably swap that out just to have a little more survivability on my bug ship, because this does help improve your survivability a lot. Okay, so that is the gear. I think I've, put together a decent enough ship here that will, I got some good cannon anti-proton build going here. I just need now to set up the traits and skills to support it. Now, I haven't even really looked at the skills yet that they give you by default. So they give you... I am a tactical Jem'Hadar character, and I know that the skill trees will vary slightly depending on what career you selected for your Jem'Hadar. Since I selected tactical, it looks like it went very heavy tactical, though not heavy enough to go into Focused Frenzy, so it doesn't get the tactical ultimate. Yeah, this is good enough for now. I don't want to spend a lot of time redoing skills, but eventually you're going to probably want to respec this. You can go out to Reddit builds or Stow Academy. There's lots of different ways you could see good builds for your skill tree. Probably I'll go for a Focused Frenzy build, a heavy tactical build. But it's good, at least they give you the main things you need here, right? They give you the long range targeting. They don't invest too heavily in any of these abilities. Hull plating is really good. They give you some psi and science readiness. But they do give you, again, most of the abilities you need here. The only thing you're kind of missing is tactical readiness, but otherwise you're in pretty good shape. So really not too bad as far as the space skills, and pretty decent ground skills as well. So actually not too bad. Don't have to be in a rush to respec these. Although, crap, what did they select down here? Oh, they did give you battery expertise. That's good. That's good. Very, very good. And that's fine. Sometimes I like to go for subsystem repair just because there's no other way to get it, but it doesn't really help that much, so most people go for the hull cap. Sector space travel speed, that's good. Threat control, I'd probably go hangar weaponry, just because I do like to run carriers. Let's see, projectile crit chance, that's fine. Crit chance, that's fine. Accuracy. So yeah, they went with pretty decent selections down here. Device expertise, that's good. Improved aim, that's good. Fatal Fist is fine. improve flank damage. They did at least give you all the damage layout. So yeah, you don't really need to be in a rush to respec. You eventually will, just to like optimize every point, but this is actually a pretty decent skill, starting skill layout. All right, so now we're on to traits. This is also critically important for your build, because this will determine, again, part of... Oh, that's right, I forget you only get 4 starship traits. Ouch, that's going to be hard to build. Yeah, so I mean, it's important to how you're going to start working on getting your... you know, what traits, starship traits you want to start working towards for your build. So like I said, I want to go for Cannon Scatter Volley. There are some particular traits that I'm going to need to get. And so let's go ahead and start there. Why not? Starship traits are obviously one of the most critical things. These make huge difference in your how your starship performs. They massively influence your performance, even more so than the personal space traits. These are huge. And the funny thing is, as a tactical captain, they started, as a tactical Jem'Hadar, they start you with also some specializations. So they gave you full command, they give you full intel, and is that it? Yep, looks like that's it. So I would recommend, since they give you command and tactical, which is good, you're going to want that, and they make your intel primary and command secondary, so that's good. Probably what you're going to want to invest in initially then would be strategist. You're going to want to get strategist up, and you're going to want to make that your secondary over command. So that could be another thing you can work towards. But intel primary, strategist secondary is the meta right now. That's what you're going to want to work towards. For damage anyway. The other spec trees are decent in their respective roles, like command is good if you're going for a torpedo build for. But you know, for a cannon build that I'm going for, and for energy damage, that is what you go with, intel and strategist. But I just wanted to mention that because this trait right here, improved command frequency, you get from the command specialization. And it's actually really, really good. Because support fleet is a decent ability, and this allows you, it like reduces the cooldown down to 5 minutes, which is not bad, and it removes the low health restriction, so you just use this at any time. So it's actually not bad if you want to just stick with this for a while. It's a good trait. And it's kind of like a universal trait. You could use it pretty much on any build. Improved predictive algorithms, I'm not a huge fan of this. I'm probably... Well, before I start unslotting things, let's see what I actually have access to right now. Shield Overload, it was nerfed. It used to be amazingly good. Now it's pretty average. Battle Ready. Yeah. So if I'm targeting a Cannon Scatter Volley build, there's some traits I'm going to want to work towards. The first one is the main one, and it's huge. It's critical that you have this trait. This trait is what makes Cannon Scatter Volley builds work, and it increases the uptime of Cannon Scatter Volley to almost like 95%. And to get it, you're going to need a tier 6 ship called the, since I'm on the Klingon side, it is the Core. You get it in the cross-faction escort bundle right here. So for Klingons, you're going to need to get the Core. For Federation, you get the Valiant, and then for the Romulans, you get the Malum. I don't know if I can claim this. It doesn't. I need to find the actual Core here in the list. Where are you at, Core? Core was actually a character in Deep Space Nine, which is actually pretty fitting because... how do I not see the Core here? Am I out of ship slots? Well, I'll be damned. I'm already out of ship slots. Okay, so... Oh, wait. I haven't gone here and claimed my... Oh, God, I got a ton of stuff to claim in the C-Store, too. But one thing I want to see if I can claim now is... Where was it? Services? Yeah, the Elite Starter Pack, yep. If you're interested in the Elite Starter Pack, I did a whole review of this item that was recently added to the store in a previous video. Just look up Elite Starter Pack on my channel, you'll find it. And yes, but this comes with a character reclaim option that all your other characters in your account can get this Elite Starter Pack. And this will give me two... Oh crap, it doesn't... I thought it gave ship slots. It doesn't, does it? It gives me bridge officer slots. Well, crap. Well, I'm still going to claim it because it's going to give me more inventory and more bank. And that will help out. So you can see my inventory already expanded and my bank did as well. And now I have more bridge officer slots. But for now, for these, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the Samsar and the Bajoran Interceptor, just because I got the consoles off there that I need. And I'll probably get rid of the Lucari as well. With some weird sounding name. And that will get us back down here. So now if I go back to the store and ships, I should be able to get the core. There's the Burrell. Now let's just go to tier 6. Core should be here. There it is. Alright, so here's the core. We're going to need to claim this. Now, unfortunately, I'll have to actually level this ship up and get the mastery, but here is the trait that I'm going to work towards, which is called Withering Barrage, which extends the duration of Cannon Scatter Volley by 4 seconds. And in your endgame build, once you've got your Aux to Batt going, you can actually get the cooldown of Cannon Scatter Volley down to 15 seconds, and the duration is 10 seconds by default, and then with this trait it's 14 seconds. So that means you're going to have an uptime of 14 out of 15 seconds with max cooldown, which is very, very powerful. So it's almost like 100% uptime of Cannon Scatter Volley. And Cannon Scatter Volley was just recently buffed to have a 90-degree firing arc. So it's like almost as good as having, well, it is as good as, it's the same as having like dual beam banks up front. It's kind of funny, I actually used to run dual beam banks a lot for forward firing ships. But now that Cannon Scatter Volley was buffed, I find it almost like superior to beams in almost every situation now. So I've been kind of trying to move most of my characters, that are focusing on energy weapon damage over to Cannon Scatter Volley. So that is the trait that I'm going to be working towards there, but I don't have it yet. So that's unfortunate. The other traits that you're going to want that are sort of critical for an energy weapons build, including cannons or beams. And the next one you're going to want is weapon systems efficiency, or efficient weapon systems, something like that. It's the one you get off of the battle cruiser bundle. In this case, since I'm KDF, I'm going to get it off the Kurak. If you're Federation, you'll get it off the Arbiter. And if you're Romulan, I believe it's the Morgu, I think it is. Okay, so we're going to claim that one. And here it is. And here's the trait you're going to work for. Oh, emergency weapon cycle, that's it, not efficiency. Not efficient weapons, emergency weapon cycle. This one will give you a very nice weapon power cost reduction and firing cycle haste just by clicking on your emergency powered weapons, which you should be running anyway because it's such a great engineering ability. And you can get it to 100% uptime if you get your cooldowns set up. So very, very good trait. So that's what I'll also be working towards. Another trait that I really like that has risen to prominence since with Aux to Batt, and since it works with Aux to Batt, it is quite popular now. It is the trait Cold-Hearted, which I need to get from... This is another event ship, which I don't... Actually, I'm not even sure. Is the Chelbolg in the... I'll check if you can get it out of the Phoenix box. I don't even know if you can. This trait might be inaccessible at the moment, unless you've already unlocked the Chelbolg, which is one of the winter event ships from a previous winter event. Pretty good ship too, actually. It's a Breen warship, which is a very good starship class. Warships are one of the best classes out there. But with this one, you get the trait. Am I confused? Wait a minute. Is it from the Raider? Where do you get Cold-Hearted? I thought it was Chelbolg. Breen, Cold-Hearted. Oh, it is from the Plesh Trawl. Okay. Okay, my bad. My bad. Let's go ahead and get rid of this one for now. We're gonna want to get it from... Sorry, my mistake there. It is from the Plesh Trawl. There's the Plesh Breck. Chelbolg. Plesh Trawl. Oh, there it is. Okay, first one. So the Plesh Trawl. Let me just quickly make sure that that is correct. Yep, Cold-Hearted. So that's the trait you're going to want, because you'll see what it actually does here. It makes it so when you activate all of your energy weapons will apply this Cold-Hearted debuff once per firing cycle, and you have to. It is triggered by Aux to Batt and something else. I don't remember what else triggers it, but it's triggered by Aux to Batt. And since you can have Aux to Batt up all the time, you can have this up all the time on your weapons, and they're constantly applying this Cold-Hearted debuff, which stacks up to 5 times from all sources. But it slows them down a little bit, but it also, the big thing is it reduces their damage resistance by 10 per stack. So up to 50 damage resistance to everyone you're hitting. So it's almost like a attack pattern beta on all of your weapons, which is very, very nice. So it's a good trait. And it reduces their power subsystems. No big deal. But the nice thing is that it also, since this applies that flight speed debuff, it actually kind of counts as a control ability. And there are some traits that actually trigger off control abilities that you can utilize with Cold-Hearted as well. So very good Starship trait. So, yeah, so those are 3 Starship traits you're going to want to work towards. And these are honestly universally applicable for, well, except for the Withering Barrage. Withering Barrage from the core is specific for cannons, but these other traits, this trait here for Cold-Hearted and the Emergency Weapon Cycle, are very good for almost any build. Now, I did want to check if this the Plesh Trawl Heavy Raider is available in the Phoenix pack. Oregon, Breen. So the Breen, you can get the Resurreth, the Saratheln. Is that it? You can't even get the Chelbolg or the Plesh Trawl. Man, Cryptic, you really need to update this Phoenix box, man. This is getting old here. You need to give people access to these traits that are awesome. So I guess for now, as far as getting the Cold-Hearted Starship trait, you're kind of out of luck for now. Now the good news is that it most likely will get added to the Phoenix pack eventually, but it takes quite a long time at this rate. Cryptic has not been updating it as fast as they should. Usually, I would say probably about a year after an item has been out, it really should start showing up in the Phoenix pack. So this coming winter, you should be able to, hopefully, if Cryptic, if you pray to the Cryptic gods, maybe they will finally update the Phoenix pack. I mean, there are a lot of things missing here from the Phoenix pack that really should be there, that have been out for a long time and are really, suitable to get in there. So yeah, unfortunately for now, you won't have access to that. Just keep your eye out for Phoenix pack's updates to be able to get it. If you did participate in last winter event, you're golden. Just go like I did to your Reputation tab and reclaim the Plesh Trawl Raider. So those are the traits I'm going to be working towards. Yeah, I don't have access to those right now. I got to grind those ships, the mastery, to get them. So that's the build I'm going to be working towards, but I did want to show how to get those traits. Now, I'm trying to think. There's one other trait that I believe I get from I'm going to have to head over to Kronos. Because there are some traits I believe you can get from the account reclaim for the temporal event, temporal recruit event, and the... so I'm going to go ahead and... I can't go to Kronos, good. From the temporal event and from the Delta recruit event. The Delta recruit event was just recently reran, so you should be able to have unlocked those. And the temporal event hasn't had a rerun yet. That was back when the previous expansion 2 years ago was out. So I'm going to head down to Kronos here. And in order to reclaim these items, you've got to visit the temporal agent on your respective homeworld. You can go visit Agent Cray on Earth Space Dock if you're on the Fed side. KDF, you got to go over here. I think the NPC is... Isn't this crazy how many different places you have to go just to reclaim items you've already earned? You've got like the dilithium store, you've got the sea store, you've got this guy over here to reclaim... Your account reclaims for the...
from Klingon temporal intelligence.
I have to have played for 20 hours. Oh, okay. So I haven't played for 20 hours yet on this character, and that's true. So I'm kind of screwed. I wasted a trip.
What do you require from Klingon temporal intelligence?
This guy, you also reclaim your Gamma recruit items on other characters. So... like I said, if you created your Jem'Hadar before July 18th, then you are a Gamma recruit. You'll have the Gamma transponder here, and you'll be able to complete these account unlocks. Once you complete these achievements, you'll be able to come to this guy to reclaim them on your other characters. But unfortunately, I won't be able to claim anything from the Delta, from the Delta recruits or from the temporal recruits. So I guess that is out of the picture. That being the case, let's head over... Oh god, Kronos is so much worse than Deep Space Nine. You gotta run all over the place. Deep Space Nine's layout is actually very nice. Quick access to everything. So we gotta head over here. So what else can we put together here for this build? Now, they did actually... So the next thing you want to look at is your reputation traits. Before I do that, is there anything else I can swap out here? Radiant Nanite-Cloud's not going to do anything. After you suffer a critical hit, you get a damage buff. I guess that's okay. 5% accuracy rating for 30 seconds. Stacks 4 times. I don't know if I'm going to run a Mercy Power to Shields yet either. Okay, so I guess, I don't know, I'll leave it there for now. But I showed you what traits I'm going to be working for. We can leave those for now. But one of the traits you can get from the Temporal Agent recruitment event is something called Critical Systems, which is a pretty decent trait that gives you that has really good uptime and gives you a decent buff, like 3% or so crit buff and a crit severity buff. So it's a decent starting trait. If you did participate in the temporal event. And Desperate Repairs. I don't know if that's really worth it. Although both of these trigger off being critically hit, so I will try to be critically hit with this build. Something you don't want to do, which is why these traits are not super popular. But let's see, I didn't actually check, so I know that they do start you with reputations as a Jem'Hadar, and I think it even started with different reputations based on what your career was, similar to the skill trees. I started as Tactical. It looks like they gave me Task Force Omega at rank 5, so that's good. It means you could start working towards you could work towards like a Mako set for space. You could pick up the Universal Assimilated Console, just grind out some Borg rep marks, and also you need some neural processors. Just run some ISAs, and you'll be grind those as much as you can, and you'll be able to get like the Kinetic Cutting Beam and this Universal Console have a nice 2-piece set bonus. So something you could work towards there. And we gave us Nukara as well. So you could work for the Nukara 2-piece is actually pretty decent as well. If you go for like the Nukara engine and shield maybe, or maybe deflector and shield. But if you go for 2 pieces of Nukara, it has a really good 2-piece set bonus, which is a Cat 2, gives you a Cat 2 damage buff. Anything else? Oh, Iconian. Okay, so they give us rank 5 Iconian. Nice. So you could start working towards the Iconian set. I would recommend if you're grinding Iconian marks, just head down to Kobali Prime and do the last 2 missions in the Kobali Prime story arc. They're like public event missions on Kobali Prime. I think I've shown them in videos before on the ground. If you do those events, they will give you the Iconian probes, and you get the daily mark bonus from there. That's how I grind it. But that's good. They do start you with some reps, so that gives us some options here as far as reputation traits. Radiant Detonation Matrix. They didn't give us Romulan, so I think I'm going to start working with Romulan right away, because Romulan has, and Dyson has some good traits too. Because Romulan rep, you're going to get, let's go back here. New Romulus, you're going to want Precision right here. That's just a flat 4% crit chance across the board. It's a must-have reputation trait, so start grinding out your Romulan to get that trait. And then you're going to also want to grind out Dyson to get, there's a crit severity one, I believe. Right there, yep. You only have to get to tier 2, so that's not bad. Not a bad grind at all. You could get that one and the new Romulus one. But for right now, we're stuck with Nukara, Task Force Omega, and Iconian, which are traits that I honestly don't use. So they did give us the Nukara Auxiliary Power Configuration Offensive, which is actually usually a really good trait, but I'm going to be going for Aux to Batt build, which means my Aux power will be low, which means these won't scale very much. So I might get rid of that. Enhanced Shield Pen, that's actually a good trait to start out with here. Don't know about this. Don't know about this. Do I have any other good reputation traits here? Also, Auxiliary Power Configuration Defense is actually a really good defensive trait if you're going to be having a high Aux power as well. But the Enhanced Shield Penetration is good. Unfortunately, this one was nerfed pretty badly, so it's not very good anymore. Exotic damage, I'm not going to be doing exotic damage. Man, this is tough. Not a lot of good traits here. I don't know if I've ever really looked at this trait. I don't know what the proc rate on this. It's only 2.5% chance. Well, whatever. It's a little extra damage, and that's all I got for now. Mega Kinetic Shearing would be good if you're going to be running Torps. Which I'm probably not for now. But pretty limited, honestly. Maybe this one is okay for now, because it does give you some extra radiation damage. And removes a buff, I guess that's better than nothing. But yeah, like I said, the ones you're going to want to work for is the Romulan and Dyson. There are some other decent traits. You can get... you're going to want the Armor Pen one here. Yep. From Delta Alliance, you're going to want the Armor Pen. You're just going to want to get all your reputations up at least to tier 2, so you have some better space trait selections here. There's a good Iconian one too, I believe. Oh, no, wait. No, not Iconian. It's... There's a good temporal one. that affects targets that are controlled? I thought it was here. It's a space trait, though. It's a controlled countermeasure. Deal additional damage against targets affected by controlling effects. Yes. This works with the cold-hearted trait, so you can use this to buff up your damage by 7.5% bonus damage. Bonus damage means category 2, which is very good. So as things are being debuffed by your cold-hearted, you could take advantage of this trait. So you're going to want to grind that if you're going for an Ox to Batt build with cold-hearted to target that trait. If not, this is pretty low priority trait. Go with the other ones that I've mentioned so far. Yeah, so those are kind of the key ones to go for. If you are going to be running with like a Drake build or a Science build and you are going to have high Ox power, then just go with those new Kara traits. Because those are actually really, really good traits. I might just leave Auxiliary Power, Configuration, Offense on here, even though I'm going to be running Ox to Batt, because, boy, this is the defense. This is offense. Just because it'll give, at least when Ox to Batt is cycling, I'll have a little bit of a damage boost during that period of time. I'm not going to really go into ground build so far in this video. It'll be too long if I wanted to, but honestly, you're going to want to go for those same traits because there's a crit, crit chance on the ground, crit severity on the ground, just like for Romulan and Dyson, just like there is for space. So you can go for the Romulan and Dyson reputations. Increased hit points, health regeneration. This one might actually be okay. Omega Weapon is actually good. That's a good ground trait, so you can stick with that. Ignore 7.5% of his soul shield. Pen on the ground it's okay. And the health regen out of combat. That's a decent enough ground build with what you've got here. And they've slotted all of your active traits. This is the only ones you get based on the reputations. You only get those 3. So can't do much about that. As far as personal traits, so there are some personal traits you can go for. Let's start with space traits. So it's funny. See, this is another reason why you don't want to mix weapon types, because you have to go for the beam traits and the cannon traits, and you only have so many slots to go with here. So I can get rid of beam training because I am not running beams. In fact, I'm a little bit tempted to just unclick everything here, and because these are not. This is not a great. This is not a great selection of traits they did here. So, what I would generally do, starting out, so there are a few traits that you can buy off the exchange that are good, and I actually did. So here they are. This one's actually for the ground. It's called Hive Mind. I'll do that one when we go into the ground. These traits can range anywhere from about, right now they're actually kind of expensive because everyone was buying these for their new Jem'Hadar. I bought these actually like a month ago when they first announced the expansion pack, and I knew I was going to be creating a new character anyway, so I started buying things up back then. But there's a really good one here called Good Day to Die. This one in particular is really expensive right now, so I'd wait a little bit to buy it, because maybe if it drops back down below 10 million, I'd buy it, but Good Day to Die allows you to use your Go Down Fighting space tactical ability at any health, so you don't have to be at low health to use it, and it makes it really nice because you can just activate it as needed. So that's kind of a must-have for tactical. And another nice trait is Ablative Shell is okay, but Inspirational Leader is another one you're going to want. That one's not too expensive. gives you a buff to all of your skills that procs, and you know, it can buff skills like your weapon skills, give you some extra damage, extra crit. So it's a good trait. A Blade of Shell I'm going to go ahead and use. This is a defensive trait, but it does help. Gives you a little bit of self-healing over time, so it's not bad. So those are some traits that you could get. Another one is Fluidic Cocoon is a good trait. Small damage buff. Anchored is another good trait. How much is Anchored right now? I'd be tempted to buy that if it's... It's only 8.5 million. That's not too bad. Looks, so you can see it's come down a little bit, I think. It's still a little bit higher than it is normally, but that's actually not bad at all. I am tempted. But this trait, if you're standing still, Anchored will give you a stacking damage buff, a very, very significant Category 2 damage buff, but it will also reduce your damage resistance, so you become squishy. So you got to be a little bit careful with it, but as long as you have some survivability built in, you can make good use of it. Yeah, we'll see. I'm going to hold off for now, because I think the price will continue to drop. But what traits would I go with here? So probably like first thing, where is Fleet Coordinator? Fleet Coordinator is a very good trait. Increases your damage based on your team size up to 10%, and it do get even just 2% damage buff, even if you're just by yourself. So very good trait. And if you're in a team, it'll be all the way up to 10%. So very good trait there. Let's go ahead and slot Inspirational Leader. That's a good one. I might need to map transfer because sometimes traits don't show up right away. And of course it put me back here. Ugh. While I'm running back, I will go ahead and slot in Inspirational Leader. Operative's not bad. I mean, it gives you an extra global 1% crit chance and 2% crit severity. I mean, it's not bad, especially for a starter build like this. Good Day to Die. I've got to slot that in there and pay for that. I was actually tempted to sell it because it was up to like 14-something million. And I mean, this trait comes out of the same box as those other ones that are only like 6 to 8 million. So it's just that it's in such high demand right now. So that's a good one. We're definitely going to want Cannon Training. This is a good one. There's some other ones. What's the... Is it Point Blank Shot? I think that's the Point Blank Shot. That you get from an episode, and I forget which episode it is. I think it's House Peg. Oh crap, I can't look up episodes on this character yet because I haven't finished the storyline. I can't do the other missions. Yeah, let me just... I'm looking on the wiki here. Yep. You get it from Point Blank Shot. You get it from House Peg. So do the House Peg episode, and you get to have Point Blank Shot, which is another decent space trait. Just the closer you are to the target gives you a damage bonus, and usually you want to be close anyway, so that works well. Instead of that one, I will probably use Warp Theorist for the extra EPS. I also don't have... what's that shield pen trait that I'm forgetting the name of? Yeah, what is it? Self something. Now there's gonna be way too many self Self-modulating. This is it. No, no, no. Is this it? This is the ground one. Self-modulating fire. It's 9 million. This is another decent personal trait. It gives you shield pen buff every like 45 seconds, I believe. For now, I'll probably go with accurate. Accurate is actually pretty decent for cannons because the Cannon Scatter Volley does benefit from accuracy overflow, unlike beam fire at will. So it's decent. Probably go with that. Blade of Shell is good for a little bit of extra healing. Now the question is what else to put in this last slot, because there's not really that much decent to do it, to put there. Put elusive in there. Efficient captain, maybe. Yeah, probably just go with one of those two for now. Or maybe deft cannoneer. I mean, it gives you a little extra buff when you activate a cannon skill. Gives you extra inertia and flight turn rate. Yeah, why not? All right, guys, like I said, I'm going to kind of just not really go into the ground traits right now. I did want to show that Hive Mind, which I believe is a very good ground skill. It's usually the ground traits are pretty cheap as well. But basically, for each nearby teammate, you get a 2% bonus all damage for all teammates within 20 meters. It's kind of like the ground equivalent of the Space Fleet Coordinator. So it's very good. I'll swap something out here. These are actually not bad. But you don't need pistol and rifle training. I know they gave that to you because I'm actually going to be using this pistol here in the remainder of the episodes. I did get some nice gifts from viewers. Sent me some items in the game through the in-game mail. And I did send thank yous to them back at the time when they sent them, but I'll just thank them again right now. Thank you very much to everyone who sent me items. I will be using them in this playthrough. In this case, since I'm going to be using this pistol, I will go ahead and use pistol and just get rid of rifle training for now. And I'll slot in the Hive Mind. But the other traits they have slotted here are not bad. Field Tactician's great. Creative is good. Covert is good. Aggressive's not bad because it gives you the bonus all damage. And, 5% threat's not a big deal either way. Although I want to get Strike Team Specialist in there somewhere. Probably get rid of Peak Health and go Strike Team Specialist. And instead of this, we'll go with Hive Mind. Jem'Hadar gets some nice traits. Soldier, no, that's teamwork. Increases team exploit damage. I thought that was, oh, this is soldier. Yeah. Soldier's good. Teamwork is okay. Because it does buff you as well, I believe. But lucky, I want lucky. Do I need covert? I know why they gave you covert here, because you're supposed to use your shroud, flank the target, and get that bonus. Yeah, since I'm going to be running with a pistol, which is actually an exposed weapon, I'll probably turn that off for now and go with Lucky, because Lucky is just really good. I mean, that's just a flat 3% crit chance. For all the races that do get Lucky, I would definitely recommend slotting that. No questions asked. Okay, so there's some, a decent starter build. The only thing I bought was Hive Mind, which was pretty cheap, and because that gives that nice. If you're going for if you're like a science character and you want some decent heals, there are some good healing traits out there for sure. I'm forgetting the name of one of them. But yeah, there are some good cheap ground traits you can invest in if you want. Hive Mind, I wouldn't invest heavily into ground unless you really want to do like elite ground queues later on. But this is still a pretty decent set of traits, honestly. It'll get you going fine. Okay, so we did the traits. We've gone through the gear. So what's next? We got to do our bridge officers. Now, this is going to take a little bit of time as well, because I'm going to want to slot in... Yeah, I mean, we're going to want to get our Aux to Batt going, right? So, yeah. So after we do the bridge officers, we'll do the duty officers, and then we should be pretty well set with a solid, you know, functional build that's be better than the default build that you got as a Jem'Hadar. And you notice I'm running over here to the barracks because I want to go to the training. I don't know if my transwarp is back up. I would just go back to Deep Space Nine because it's so much more convenient. There is a bridge officer trainer on Deep Space Nine in Ops, so if you go to Ops, you can find it there. In fact, I'm going to go, because I want to listen to the Deep Space Nine music, I'm going to go back to... I can't see if Transwarp is on cooldown. I'm going to go back to Deep Space Nine and enjoy the scenery while I'm working on the build here. But yeah, we need to go through bridge officers, so I'll show you how to put together the Aux to Batt. Is my transwarp up? And I can't go to Deep Space Nine. I got another idea. If I...
The Alliance has agreed, if you'll excuse
Okay, I'm not going to spoil that. But I am going to... I believe this transwarp does take us to Deep Space Nine. That is the next episode I will be playing in the next video. But like I said, I want to get my build, you know, solidified, you know, claim some ships, get... I'll probably off-screen, I'll grind to get those Starship Masteries to finish out the build. Yeah, good. It did take me to Deep Space Nine. So I'll kind of do that off-screen, and then I'll put up the next episode video once I've done that. But yeah, like I said, this build, it'll be decent. It'll be good enough to get, you know, probably advanced queues done without too much of a problem. So you can start grinding out your marks. No, I should have actually beamed directly to Ops. But whatever, I can find a turbo lift. Somewhere? Yes, let's go up to Ops. New turbo lifts are really nice. I like them. Much more like the show. Where's the bridge officer trainer? Over here. And the reason you want the bridge officer trainer is because these Jem'Hadar officers that they start you with don't have a lot of abilities trained, and we're going to want to... they do have Cannon Scatter Volley 3, which was nice. I do appreciate that. Now, I did claim in the last video, I did claim the Jem'Hadar Vanguard Bridge Officers that you got from the Vanguard pack. And I believe those... God, these names. Ixon Sun, Ixo Rex. I'm not going to remember any of these names. So what I'm going to do is do a little bit of renaming here. I'll preserve his name down here in the comments. Oops. I will not forget your name, Ixan Sun, but you're now going to be a very creative name along the lines of... You're going to be my Pehadar Sai, and you are going to be my Pehadar Tak. And you're going to be... The reason I want to rename these is so I can select them while I am, you know, doing my bridge officers, because they do have a space trait that gives you a buff in space, so you're definitely going to want to slot them if you did buy the Vanguard pack. The other one should be an engineer, right? And one thing is really cool is that the ones you get from the Vanguard pack, they come by default with all specializations. If you go over here to their skills, they have all specializations already learned. That's actually pretty damn nice. Say it's not super expensive to do that, but it's still nice just to have it. It's just a time saver. Let's go back here. Lurso Iklan. You are now Jem'Hadar Engineer. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and leave him here, but in the second slot here I'm going to throw in... why can't... Oh, hold on. I didn't train these up, did I? Skills, yes. I was like, why can't I select these? Yes, that's right. I will need to promote all of these. Actually, is he the only one that was... Okay. I'll just promote everything I can here. Although I better watch it. How many... Okay, I got plenty of expertise. I was like, don't want to run out of expertise. Yep, this is something you'll definitely want to do on your character as well. You're going to want to go through and make sure you promote them all to commander. So you can move them around freely in your bridge officer seating. And so they have access to all their abilities and everything, so no reason not to promote them. Alright. So now can I get... Why is it still not letting me... Omenai Cat? Is it still using the old name? It is. It didn't like refresh the name. Maybe I need to do a map transfer again. I do like the purple and green Jem'Hadar UI. That is, the UI theme is pretty cool. And back up to ops we go. Yeah, but the reason we want to be in ops at the bridge officer trainers, we'll need to buy some of these abilities like Ox to Batt, because none of the characters actually came with them. Yeah, like I said, just kind of showing how the sausage is made. I realize this is a long video, but it does take a long time to kind of, you know, claim everything, build your ship, just to get to that point where, like I said, where you grind smoothly, you've got a good build going, and you have, you know, that target you're working towards. You always want to be working towards something, you know. Like I said, you know, if you want to get those ship traits, you know what ship you need to get. You can start grinding your dilithium, convert to Zen, and buy the ship, or if you want to, you can just buy it with money. You know, the other ships, you can start working towards those Phoenix boxes. You know, whatever you need to do, you just set those targets, and it keeps you motivated. It helps, at least in my case, it keeps you motivated to keep going. So, so this character, I mean, I do want to have Torp Spread 3 eventually, once I get supercharged weaponry. Speaking of supercharged weaponry, I know I didn't mention it, but you actually get that one off of the... Yeah, if you want to put a torpedo on your build, like an energy torpedo, eventually you will want that trait, and I believe you get it from the... Okay, the Martok? Supercharged weaponry, yep. You get it from the Martok in this case, or and the Federation side, it's the tactical flagship Odyssey that you get it from. So there you go. I'm gonna go, I'll just claim it now so I don't forget, but I won't be able to show it. Oh, that max slots again. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm not gonna go back down to the shipyard right now, but that is the ship you need to claim to get supercharged weaponry. Another trait that's nice in the build once you have an energy torpedo ready to go. So yeah, since I don't have a torpedo, I got a chemo site. Yes, that's right. Okay, so I should talk about this right now. I did get chemo site 1, and I'm gonna train it to the Jem'Hadar. Chemosight is a tactical ability for bridge officers, and it is a nice weapon damage buff. You can activate it right along with your, like right when you activate Cannon Scatter Volley and your attack pattern, you can activate Chemosight right along with it, and it will give you a nice little damage proc onto your weapon. I need to go to skills, Payadar, here, and it should be, oh, space. There you are, Chemosight Laced Weaponry, so we're going to give that to him there. And for him, I'm actually going to make him / Miracle Worker, because when I do eventually start working on my mastery for the Vanguard Warship, they actually have a Miracle Worker seat. So what else should I put in here? What should I put in the... Because I don't really need... Probably what I should do here is get attack pattern beta 3 or beta 2 here. Yeah, and then put, because I'm not going to be using a torp spread right away. But I don't really have a good idea of what to put in this lieutenant slot here. I don't really need beamfire at will. I'm not running any beams. Distributed targeting would be an option, but that's not that great. Focused assault is another option. You get that from a episode, I believe. Focused assault. Yep, you get that from Butterfly. So that's another, that would probably be what I put in there. Since this isn't any specialization seeding, I can't like put in another ability there. It's just too many tactical abilities for what I can do currently on this ship. Focus Assault is probably what I would go with. But I don't have that unlocked yet.
Let's see what we can...
So let's go tactical space. I mean, I'll eventually want him to have high yield 2. I mean, I could put tactical team 2 on here just because. Since I have so many slots, I could use that instead of tac team 1. I mean, I'm going to give him torpedo spread 2 just so he'll have it. Subsystem targeting aren't too bad, but they have a shared cooldown with the normal weapon abilities, so I never really use them. Type in a beta 1, we're going to definitely want that. Scatter Volley 1, you might want that eventually, depending. You might need that for a ship without any commander tactical slot. Mines, I don't want though. So yeah, there's not really anything good to put in that slot. I'm going to get an attack pattern beta 2. And I'm going to get another Cannon Scatter Volley 2. Or 1. I could do... Torp spread 2. Torp spread 2. Yeah, so let's see. I mean, I shouldn't, with Ox to Batt, I shouldn't need to run 2 copies of like attack pattern beta. I mean, you could do that if like if you're not running Ox to Batt. This bug ship has so many tactical slots, you could run duplicate abilities if you don't want to run Ox to Batt. So you could do something like this. For here, I want to use attack pattern. yield 2. Split torp high yield 2. And yeah, I mean, like I was explaining in the last video, you're always going to want your attack pattern, you're always going to want tactical team, and you're always going to want your weapon damage, or your weapon ability. Those are key things. And then what else you fill in is kind of up to you depending on your build. Like, you're going to want, if you don't have any cooldown reduction of any kind, then you do want to run 2 copies of your attack pattern and 2 copies of your weapon ability. So you could run 2 Cannon Scatter Volleys and 2 attack pattern betas. So we could do something like this. But, I mean, there's not really... I don't know if I have anything that triggers off tactical abilities like for cooldowns or anything, but you can run an ability even if you don't use it, just to trigger a trait or something that might give you cooldowns based on activating tactical bridge officer abilities. But for now, let's say if you weren't running any cooldowns, this is how I would build it. You'd put 2 scatter volleys, 2 attack pattern betas, and then you'd have your tactical team and your chemo site. That's probably how, although, yeah, if I needed to run 2, I'd probably swap these around, so there's Cannon Scatter Volley 2 and attack beta 1 there if I were doing it that way. But I'll do this for now. Okay, so that's the tactical slots. Now for the engineers, I am going to go ahead and I will slot here my Jem'Hadar, and here I'm also going to slot in my Jem'Hadar as well. So I have those 3 slotted for their space traits. Now and I believe the space trait was fixed, and there was a small patch today. A lot of little bug fixes from the initial release of the expansion have been fixed, including the space trait was supposedly fixed. So that's good. Alright, so you're going to want to, since we've got a Lieutenant Commander Engineering, we're going to want to run Emergency Powered Weapons 3, which you actually cannot buy from here. But I'm still going to buy Emergency Power to Weapons 1. Yeah, let's go down to the exchange. And buy Emergency Powered Weapons 3. Emergency Powered Weapons is a fantastic engineering ability that buffs your damage, and it also procs the Starship trait that I was talking about earlier, and it helps a lot. So I'm going to put all these items that I don't really need anymore in here. And then we'll go ahead and sort this. And then we'll go to the exchange, and we're going to buy... Please don't be expensive, because I don't want to have to go on my other character and craft this. Yeah, it's a little bit pricey, not horrible, but alright. So here we go. Let's go back to... No, he's only... Yeah, I'm not going to bother putting him. Let's do this. I'm going to put my Jem'Hadar over here. And the Jem'Hadar is going to get here. Emergency Power to Weapons 3. He already had Emergency Power to Weapons 2. But here I would run... Oh, shoot. I just realized I can't run Emergency Power to Weapons 3 because I have to run Aux to Batt. And I don't have a slot over here. Okay, so here is the key to Aux to Batt. So I just wasted my money on the Emergency Power to Weapons 3, but oh well. So how Aux to Batt works, it is an engineering ability for your bridge officer, and you have to run 2 copies of
Consider
it
done.
to make it work, and you have to have 3 technician duty officers. I'll get to the duty officers in a minute, but for now, we're going to go here,
Let's see what we can...
and we're going to buy... I'm going to buy emergency power to shields as well. They probably don't have that in emergency power to engines. But we're going to need aux to Batt. So here's the ability, auxiliary power to emergency battery, 1, and we're also going to want emergency power to auxiliary battery, or auxiliary power to emergency battery, 2, okay. I would like, I mean, this is tough because I won't be able to run like a reverse shield polarity or any good of the good defensive ability here, which means I probably will have to end up slotting in that Lucari console to give me some survivability, but we'll go with this for now. So yeah, let's go back to the Jem'Hadar and get him slotted out here. I want him to know emergency power to engines. Let's go ahead and put emergency power to shields there. I don't know, I'm waffling between engines and shields. Let's go ahead and use engines because I won't be able to use the emergency con hologram. So we want aux to Batt 1 and aux to Batt 2. So what that means, if you want to run an aux to Batt build, you need to have either 2 lieutenant engineers, because aux to Batt 1, you need to at least have 2 copies of that. So you either need to have 2 lieutenant engineers or 1 engineer that is lieutenant commander, and then you can slot emergency power to Batt 2 there. So you need to have that in order to be a viable aux to Batt build. So you want to have a decent amount of engineering slots, bridge officer slots, to be able to do it. But here is an aux to Batt build. And finally, what do we put on the Jem'Hadar science character? I'm just going to throw on Science Team 1. Polarized Hull is handy. Transfer shield strength's not bad. But since I'm going to be running aux to Batt, Science Team is the only heal in the science tree anyway that doesn't scale off of your aux power. So Science Team will probably be a decent heal. Hazard emitters I will also put on, but it does actually scale quite a bit down. Also transfer shield strength scales quite a bit down with the low auxiliary power. I'll put Science Team 2 on here, although I'm not going to use it. Okay, let's go over here to Jem'Hadar Psi, and we will do this. And we'll give him... I'm going to go with Hazard Emitters 1, just for the debuff clear more or less, and then Science Team 2. Science Team is still a decent, it's not the best heal in the world, but it's good because it also removes Placate and some other debuffs, so it's handy. Did I miss Transfer Shield Strength? Yes, I did. Alright. Just gave him some deep abilities there, so yeah. Alright. So there we go. We got our Bridge Officer seating for an aux to Batt build and a Cannon Scatter Volley build. Again, not optimal, but just functional. Something that's better than what is out of the box. Here are your ground abilities. For these, like I said, ground is not that important, but just a few key things. You're going to want to make sure you have heals on your science character. He's only got 1 heal on here right now, and I would probably medical tricorder, and the other good heal is vascular regenerator.
Let's see what we can teach.
Oh, let's go to ground. So those are the 2 I'd probably recommend. You can get the rank 3 items if you can either craft them on one of your other characters or yeah, something along those lines. But what I'm actually going to do is use medical tricorder 2, vascular regenerator 2, and I'm actually going to get rid of hyperonic radiation is okay. You could also put the sensor scan on here for the debuff, which I probably would recommend. So yeah, who is this? Rem Toral? I believe the free Hadars are probably actually better on the ground because they have all ground traits. Whereas the pay Hadars have one of these as a space trait that won't help them on the ground. So let's go ahead and do this. So what you might notice, I also purchased something called Cold Fusion Flash. You can get this off the exchange as well, not too expensive. And this is a really nice science officer ability, and I like putting it on my bridge officers because they spam it, and what it does is it roots an AoE of the enemies and keeps them from scattering and running around. So it's very handy to put this on one of your bridge officers, or if you're a science character, you can put it on yourself. I use it on my science character, which is very nice for keeping everything in your exothermic induction field. So I really love this Cold Fusion Flash ability, so I do like to put it on my science character. So go ahead and do that. And so we're going to slot that, and then we're going to slot medical tricorder 2 and vascular regenerator just for some, like I said, just for healing. I just want him to be able to heal, and this is really nice utility for rooting the enemies in place, and then you can AoE them down without them running around. Yeah, this is not the greatest build either. I mean, for these character, I'd go for... Oh, they have command abilities. Take cover is actually good. Do they have... Okay, so they do have strategic analysis. Awesome. So I would definitely recommend strategic analysis on a ground character. Is a very, very nice ground buff. In fact, I might even buy like a higher rank of it, but for now this will be fine. It's just very, very good. Otherwise, on the tactical character, you're going to want to go with things. If you can get Graviton Spike from the when the summer event comes around, definitely get that. It's a very good tactical ability. Also for your character, a very good ability. Yeah. Otherwise, just go for things like buffs, like strategic analysis or whatever it's called is a good, decent buff. Overwatch is an okay buff, so you can use those in your slots. Engineers, always give them the Chronoton Mind Barrier is always decent. They actually get a decent shield recharge is a decent enough heal as well, so you can help them. They can help heal you. Quantum Mortar, whatever. Oh, we got another. Paradox Bomb. Paradox Bomb is really, really good. It's like a gravity well on the ground. I usually don't use it on bridge officers, but it is actually very worthwhile considering getting that on your character. If you have a temporal spec, you can get this as a kit module for your actual character. But I will put it on him, just see how he does with it. I'm not going to give him lunge. Yeah, whatever. I'm just going to give him... He can build up entropy. He'll be my temporal character. There we go. He'll be all temporal. Alright, so... Yeah, ground is not as important. Like I said, just make sure you get some heals to keep you alive. An engineer, give them shield recharge, which is a good heal. Their turrets and things aren't that great, but they're actually good distractions. They'll take heat off you. They'll take some aggro. You could probably go with like the medical generator is probably better instead of like turret fabrication.
Hi. Let's see what we...
If we did like engineering ground. Yeah, like I said, just kind of thinking out loud here, just going through, what are some options? You could go with shield generator. Medical generator, oh, it is tier 3, so you gotta go all the way to tier 3. Yeah, I'll just worry about that later then. We could put, I think shield generator would probably be more useful here than that turret fabrication, which doesn't really do a whole lot. It has such a long... All these have such long animations that it just is really annoying. Your NPC will be sitting there for 90% of the fight just kneeling down and summoning his... Matama... Summoning his, turrets, because they have such long animations, so... But we'll do that. That'll be good enough for now. Hey, anything else? So that is the bridge officers. Yep, a lot of explanation there. Let's keep going here with the duty officers. So we're getting close to the done here, getting close to actually having an actual functional build. Now, for duty officers, I actually did purchase a lot of these off of the exchange. I did notice that once I finished the tutorial on my Jem'Hadar character, they actually had a... let's go to the roster here. They actually had, they gave you a pack of duty officers for the Dominion, just for completing the tutorial. And it gave me 50-something duty officers. Most of them are crap, but it did actually at least fill out your roster a little bit. A lot of them were junk, like commons and stuff, but... whatever. It gives you at least a start on duty officers. I also sent over a bunch of duty officers from my other characters to help with my ground and space builds, and including sending over some technicians. So let's go ahead and do that. Because to make the Oxtabat build work, you do need to have 3 technicians. I would say don't go out and purchase the purple quality ones. The purple ones you can get from a assignment chain in the colonization effort star cluster missions. I did a whole video on that actually. If you look at support colonization efforts on my channel, you will see that video, how to get purple technicians. But for a starter build, I haven't done those missions yet, and the purple technicians are way too expensive. And you can actually do really well with just 3 of the blue quality ones. And why can't I see? They're not science. They are, I believe they're engineering. Yep. So you can see these are the technicians, and they have to give you recharge of bridge officer abilities reduced with after Ox to Batt. So there you go. And then so that you have to have 3 of them there. You can run 3 copies. So that means that each time, if I just pull up the info, you can see each time you use Ox to Batt, it gives you a recharge reduction of by 8% for all your bridge officer abilities. And then you can stacks by 3, so you can stack it up. So every time you use Ox to Batt, it's going to reduce the recharge time of all your cooling down abilities, at first by 24%, but then eventually once you get it to the very rares, it will actually go up to 30%. So very significant recharge reduction. It will be generally enough to get everything down to the global cooldown, which is why Ox to Batt is so easy to do, right? All I had to do was have these 2 abilities here, 2 Ox to Bats. So you have to sacrifice 2 engineering slots. You have to sacrifice 3 duty officer slots for the technicians. And then you also need to just be aware that your Ox power will most of the time be 0. So you can't slot any traits or consoles or anything that are dependent on Ox power. And it will make your heals pretty weak, which is why you can become more dependent on things like this, like the Protomatter Field Projector, which is a very good healing console, and it won't be nerfed by running Ox to Batt. As far as other space duty officers to run, I will eventually be running Agent Nurul, which is from the Delta Pack, but I don't think I can claim that yet. I think that's also under that 20-hour restriction. Other things that you can run would be a Con Officer, to reduce the recharge time on Tactical Team. Since I'm running Ox to Batt, that's not a huge priority. It also, I think, buffs the weapon specialization, so it's not bad. It gives you a little bit of buff while you're running Tac Team, and I am running Tactical Team, so I might do that anyway, but I mean, eventually you're going to want to put in there, like, you know, like maybe a energy weapons officer. I believe I do have a energy weapons officer with the crit severity chance. Yeah, I might have that on a different character. Let's go ahead and slot in the emergency con hologram. That was the one from the Phoenix pack. Because I'll be running emergency powered engines, and we'll get a recharge on evasive maneuvers. And for now, probably just throw in, like I said, throw in a con officer. Yeah, if you're running a torp, you could run a projectile weapons officer to reduce the recharge time on your torps. There we go. So there we go. We got our duty officers in space, and we're all set for the aux to Batt build. For ground, I'm just going to slot these real quick. I actually did buy some of the damage versus Tholians. I'll probably throw him in there. But yeah, I did buy 3 of the security officer for the ones that reduce your, or that have beamed down additional security escorts when you use security team. So it's actually really nice. So if I put here, if you have 3 of them, you have a really good chance of getting down some extra bonuses. Extra bonus for your, you know, some additional security officers, so you can have your own little private army going around with you. Automated personnel unit, I don't even remember. I wonder if, I'm not sure if some of these purple ones came out of that Jem'Hadar pack. Doubles the chance to expose target, yeah. Chance to reduce the recharge time of grenades. Chance to beam an additional support drone. That's for engineers. These are already... Yeah, since these are already bound, I'm assuming I got these out of the pack, which is kind of interesting. Okay. But I'm not going to be using... Well, I do have photon grenades for now, but I'm going to be swapping that out. So let's go ahead and put in the double chance to expose target. Why not? Alright, so we've got, you know, we got a ground build. I didn't spend as much time in the ground build, but it'll be good enough to get through all the missions, no problem. And even do some of the queues. Not elite queues on the ground, but should be good for the rest. Don't forget to start doing your research. So you want to buy some research or development duty officers so you can start leveling up your research. You're going to want to, like, you did start with some research schools. You get 3 of them to rank 15. You'll start want to get the other ones up to rank 15 right away. Just select that school, scroll down to the bottom, and start at the very bottom you have that research project. This is just to level up. It doesn't actually... what material am I missing? Oh, I'm going to have to send over a bunch of... research and development materials because I don't have any. I didn't get very many from the initial mission. Okay. Got to remember to do that. Send over some R&D materials to your Jem'Hadar so you can start working on this. But yeah, just do this bottom mission and keep doing it. You can do 3 per day in each school. So keep working on that. You'll eventually level up your R&D schools. You do want to get them all to 15 to unlock all of the traits. And also I believe there are... in the Gamma recruitment event, there are some... oh, I actually got the first R&D pack for getting up my science school. R&D level 1 achieved. It will grant you a collection of random white R&D specialists. Okay, so there you go. Get some R&D specialists that way. I don't really need them now. Yep, don't forget to do that. So we did the duty officers. Is there anything else we need to do for our build? Yeah, so one thing I did want to mention on the ground is I did actually buy some kit modules that I really like on Tactical, and that is Microcryonic Warhead, this was actually from an event, I think it was a weekend event? I'll have to look this one up. And I transferred it over from another character. Microcryonic Warhead, where... I don't know where you got this. It's an account bind on equip. Yeah, sorry, I'm not finding where it actually this dropped. Winter event 2016, is that where this came from? But winter event items are usually bound to character. That's weird. But I was going to use this instead of photon grenade, just because photon grenade's animation is too long for my taste, and I prefer the Microcryonic Warhead is like a little torpedo. Is this one I'm thinking of the wrong one? I'm thinking of that little. It's that little torpedo launcher. Like a mini wrist photon torpedo. I'm not sure if this is the right one or not. But it has a much faster animation, so I like that one better. But some other really good ground kit modules that I like. One is Motivation, because it gives you that little bit of a self-heal, which is actually really nice. It gives you a nice damage bonus, and that's kind of cool. A damage bonus and self-heal. What more do you want out of a kit module? It has a pretty decently fast recharge as well. Probably use that instead of... I don't really want suppressing fire. And I like Rally Cry. Probably use this instead of Motion Accelerator. And the other one I really like on the ground is right here. Trajectory Bending, which makes it so... gives you crit severity and all of your attacks count as flanking, which works really well with your intel specialization because you get all that bonus flanking damage. So for this, I'm going to replace probably suppressing fire. And Crystalline Spike is actually a decent ability because it very quickly attracts all of the aggro from the enemies. So I might actually do that as well. Yeah. So that's kind of the ground build I'm going with. Again, until you have access to better reputation gear for your armor, like you probably want the Not Cool armor and the Not Cool, actually that's from an episode, but you'll want the Not Cool shield, which is really, really good. But for now, the set they give you is actually fine. Actually, what kind of kit module? It gives you K-Perf, PSG, and weapon damage. You might want a kit module that gives you some crit on it, like one of the Delta Expedition kit modules. I probably will try to swap that out. But yeah, so that's the ground build. So let's head up into space. And this is going to be the painful part, which is setting up the tray. And probably end the video here. I just wanted to get my character into a decent point. Like I said, now that I have a build set up that's, will get me through all the episodes, I'll be able to grind queues, get marks, and start working towards the end game. And then, and it'll be functional. It'll be much better than what you get out of the box. And yeah, so I mean, hopefully this has been useful so far. I realize this is a long video, like I said, it's just kind of recording as I go here, and I didn't want to do that.
Does anyone need training?
And showing how the sausage is made, as I've said. Yeah, just so people find it useful. No editing, just follow it through, do exactly as I'm doing, and you can have a similar build all set and ready to go. Wow, there's a Enterprise J over here. That's crazy. Universe class. Okay, let's get rid of that. So yeah, so let's go just fly over and do a little empty space here and start moving some things around. So yeah, now funny thing is, I did get a lot of questions and comments recently for people asking about my keybinds. Yeah, I will do a video on my keybinds, but what I do actually have is a keybind for my trays 4, 5, and 6. Typically what I do here is put abilities that I want like on all the time here. So like my 4 is usually where I'll put my attack patterns and my weapon abilities. So I'll hit my 4 macro and that will spam all the abilities on the 4 tray. Usually 5 I put things like my emergency power abilities, like emergency power to weapons, and then aux to Batt will go here as well. And these I actually have a Razor mouse with a macro button that will spam the 5 key, my numpad 5, which is what the trigger is for this keybind, and we'll just keep running these. So I could do like this. I don't have to keep spamming a key. My Razor will do it. Razor Naga mouse will do it. So that's what I usually put on my 5, and then my 4, like I said, I usually put my first. I would put. Usually, I put my, if I have torp spread, I'll put that first. Otherwise, I'll put my weapon ability, then my attack pattern, and then chemosite after that. And since I'm running 2 copies, you could do it this way. That second copy should never get run. The way the macro works, it should go from left to right. So it should never get to the point where it actually runs that. Yeah, I got the domino as well. Because with aux to Batt, it should be down to global cooldown, so it should always go back to those. Oh, I already got go down fighting there. So yeah, chemosite I'd put here. So now when I use this, my 4 macro, it'll go like this. See? There you go. Now you have to be a little bit careful when putting tactical team on a macro bar because it does screw up your firing cycles a bit because it does the shield rebalancing distribution deal, which screws up your it screws up your firing cycles. Got to be a little bit careful with it, but it's so helpful to have it up. I'm willing to sacrifice my firing cycles. If you're really careful and attentive, you can make this manual, put it down in your bar manually and activate it. Like when you're in the middle of firing cycle, not when it's about to cycle to the next one. So you can manually do it to make sure you don't interrupt your firing cycles if you're very observant. Yeah. Oh, I got all these console weird clicky abilities in here. Thoth phase decoy. If I ever even use this thing. So yeah, so that's what I put on that bar. Attack fleet and intel fleet I'm going to put down here. Attack pattern alpha I always put on 1. Threatening stance I don't really ever use. I kind of put that over out of the way. I've got my 2 batteries on Alt Q and Alt E. And then chemosite I put on my bar. Going on fighting's there. You can put, I don't know if I'd recommend it, but you could put actually go down fighting here, like first. Once you have, if you had a lot of like captain cooldowns, because it's available. Every 42 seconds. That's not bad. It's not bad. So you could go like this. Not sure if I recommend this, but this is like the lazy way, right? This is like, I just want to like hit one button and I'm set. You can even throw a tactical initiative on there if you wanted to. So just go through and then it would use tactical initiative. This is the super lazy method. Don't necessarily recommend this. You do a lot of this manually, but other than that initial, you know, just having those 3 abilities of your attack pattern, your weapon power, and then like your chemo site and your tactical team. You don't necessarily want to go too much farther than that. The mobile platforms from the Cardassians. I put that on the bar, so I'm gonna leave that off. Usually my reputation actives, I put support fleet's already there. Hazard emitters, that's right, I gotta put that somewhere. I'll put that there. This weapon capacitor, I'm just going to throw. Why does that there? I don't necessarily want that on that bar. I'm just going to throw that over there for now. I don't use it that often. Chemo site. Anything else I'm missing that needs to go on my bar? There's an active rep trait. Where's science team? Yeah, need to have that. Yeah, got that and that. So that's in a good spot. That can go there. That can go there. So those are the 2 Cardassian consoles. This is the polymorphic probe array. Anything else? Alright, so I think we're also in good shape here as far as the hotbar goes. So as you can see, if I'm going to go into combat, and I was going to say I should take this into combat, but I'm like not, I can't transwarp to yeah, I'm trying to think of a good patrol. I mean, I could go to Japori. Yeah, let's do that. Let's finish up with a Japori run just so we can just test out the build, make sure everything's working good. It's not too far from Kronos. And that's definitely a good place to close it out. I do know this video is very long. I will try to put timestamps in the description if you want to skip to like certain parts of where I'm going over the build, like the gear, you know, the traits, the bridge officers, the duty officers, all of that good stuff. Just to make it a little bit easier, I know all of my videos for Victory's Life have been quite long. I've just kind of wanted to just kind of record it as I'm experiencing it, you know? And this is one part here of putting together a viable build to do advanced queues and grind. It's all very important. Where are you at, Japori? There you are. It's important, right? I mean, you got to spend the time to do this, you know, just to get going. I mean, you only have to do this once. I mean, I've got this build going, and this will last me for quite a while, and I can just improve the build slowly as, you know, as I unlock more traits. I can slot those in as I level up and get some dilithium and some, I can, you know, as I get more upgrade materials, I can upgrade the quality of my quality and mark rank of my gear, especially now we need to get up to Mark 15. Which reminds me, guys, there is a tech upgrade weekend coming next weekend. So if you're looking to get to Mark 15, that's the weekend to do it. I'm kind of holding off for now. I mean, Mark 14 is still pretty much enough to get through what I needed to, so for now. But I do want to upgrade to Mark 15, and that tech upgrade weekend will be the time to do it. Alright, so let's go ahead and enter Japori and do a run and see if this build will actually work. I'm still missing, you know, some key starship traits. I need to get the mastery on those ships to unlock, you know, Withering Barrage, Emergency Weapon Cycle, Supercharged Weapons. Yeah, so, and Cold-Hearted. Can't forget about Cold-Hearted. But yeah, hopefully this will work. Japori is actually good. I might as well run it here because you can get your Romulan marks. Just run this like once a day, get your daily bonus Romulan marks, and you can start that reputation going. You You run like Borg, Red Alert, and you can get your choice of marks, which is also very good. So before I engage, I'm just going to hang back here and kind of show you how it works. So let's say first I'm doing my Alpha Strike, right? So I'll use my macro I showed. That used all of my weapon abilities, right? Now I'm going to use my Aux to Batt. And you can see they are cooling down very well here. And when one Aux to Batt gets used, the other one goes on a 15... Is it 15? Let me just double check it. Or is it 10? Is it only a 10-second shared cooldown? Yep. And then, so I'm going to use my abilities again here. And then you'll see once this triggers down... 10, 9... Well, you didn't actually see much of it there. Where's my 3? Yeah, so there you saw all of them trigger down. Yeah, you can see Cannon Scatter Volley is now back down to the same as my duplicate copy I was running. So Aux to Batt brought it down to the global cooldown. So when the next one triggers, it should bring this cooldown down to almost that. Oh no, it didn't quite bring it down to global, did it? So this one is actually going to trigger. Huh. Yeah, you probably want those full 3... You need that full 30%, I think, to get it down to where you only need to run the one copy. Or some readiness will probably do it as well, because we don't have any tac readiness in this skill tree build that we had, so... Yeah. But you can see the build is working. It's not perfect yet, but it is functional. It's giving me a lot of cooldown reduction on a lot of abilities, so yeah, it's getting there. What is this Thoth phase decoy? I'm gonna run this right here. Oh, okay, so it brings in a decoy of me. That's cool. Never seen that before. I'm also curious, what is this this mobile torpedo platform from the Cardassian ship? Okay, here it is. Oh wow, it is mobile. It flies around. Oh, check that out. Wow, it's spamming all kinds of torpedoes, and it's doing like almost no damage. Of course, it's needing the shield. I wonder if I were to like take down the hull on it. That is actually pretty awesome. It does spam quite a few torpedoes. Okay. I didn't realize it flew around like that. I thought it was just like a platform, like a stationary kind of thing. Let's try the Spiral Wave Disruptor Pulse. Oh wow, that's quite big. It did a decent amount of damage, 1,000 something at base, and I don't have anything buffing it up right now. What's this anti-proton sweep? Oh yeah, I think that's from the Jem'Hadar set. Okay, enough of that. Oh wow, that's far away. So I just used evasive maneuvers, and now if I use emergency powered engines, my evasive maneuvers should be... Did that actually work? I'll have to watch it a little more closely next time. So there you go. As you can see, the Cannon Scatter Volley is working quite well. And once you get Withering Barrage, it'll be so much better. You'll have almost 100% uptime on your Cannon Scatter Volley. Got an alpha there. But yeah, you can see the build does work quite well. Obviously, this is just in a normal difficulty, but you know, you can grind normal difficulty to get your daily marks and everything really quickly, and this build will make short work of it. Alright, but yeah, that is it. That is, wow, that is the long version of how to put together an Ox to Batt build. Hopefully that was helpful to some of you new players out there who just started the Jem'Hadar character and want to, you know, make some basic improvements to your build. I mean, you can use these, even though I was using Mark 14 Epic quality, you can use the same gear here, right? You could just buy the Mark 12 or craft the Mark 12 very rares, and you'd be all set. I mean, you could use all the same gear. Just because I have mine at a higher mark in quality, it means it'll just do a little more damage, but the build will still be just as functional with just, you know, standard gear. So, so yeah, hopefully that was helpful. I realize it was very long. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it if you stuck with it. Like I said, I'll try to add some timestamps into the description to help, since it is such a long video. But yeah, I mean, it's something I had to do anyway, and I figured I might as well record it, and maybe some people will find it helpful. Who knows? If you do have any questions, let me know in the comment section. I have been monitoring comments. I do always read the comments, but I've actually been responding to them a little bit more lately. I've been trying to get better at that, just because I actually have had a little bit of time off of work here. I actually took a couple days off just so I could spend more time with the expansion. And I've been having more time to actually respond to comments and all that stuff. So if you do have any questions, go ahead and ask in the comments, and I will do my best to answer. I'll try to make another video in the future to talk a little bit more about the keybinds in more detail, but I at least wanted to show basically how they work and how mine are set up. Since I'm using a Razer Naga mouse, I don't know how generally applicable this will be to other people who are just using a keyboard and spamming keys, but it should still maybe help people, because I know a lot of people in the comments were asking about keybinds. So that will be coming at some point here in the near future. But yeah, otherwise, I believe that's it, everyone. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. And yeah, that's all. Bye for now.